I should share the screen. So it will be just the main information which you need to know. So you are the only study program potentially in our faculty which has specializations. So the specialization more or less is something when you are studying for, in our case, it will be 2.5 years, and later you are selecting which direction you want to go. So there are two possibilities. One is financial information technologies and another is information technology management. So basically, as this slide says, like first year is more or less the same. The second year starts to vary. And in the third year, basically the beginning will be not exactly, but also a little bit similar with different study programs, but later you will be selecting one of those. It doesn't mean the study subjects will be completely different. And basically means each semester, those two specializations, if they would be selected, will have approximately 3 study subjects different. So one will be more oriented on, let's call computer networks, security, system management. Meanwhile, another one will be oriented on integration of systems, financial system understanding, how all this works. So as it says, as you see, basically it's like you are selecting not separate study subjects, but some kind of a group of study subjects. And those two, as I mentioned, like financial information technology, just for like shortening, usually I'm calling it fintech. Basically, it says like financial technologies. And if we would be analyzing what is fintech, so it's not something very specific. It's not, at least my initial understanding was fintech is blockchain, cryptocurrencies and so on. But actually, no, it's not just it. You should be able to understand what the finance information systems are. So it's not just those modern decentralized systems, but it's also some kind of a systems used by organizations to manage the finances, to manage the risks and so on. So it should be covering, as I mentioned, like companies usually mention like what kind of skills are needed. So the skills which you should be developing in this specialization is to understand how to integrate different systems, how to use modern technologies for the automatization of some activities, things like this. Meanwhile, information technology management is more oriented on like managing the systems and infrastructure. So I didn't mention, but one of the things, like in which of those you believe you will have more programming? Yeah, because it requires the integration. Meanwhile, this one, potentially it will require some kind of a programming, but more or less it will be dedicated for automatization of some kind of actions. Like, I don't know, even the persons who are monitoring, working with servers, writing some kind of a code, at least some of those, for doing something automatically, like rather than doing everything manually. But basically, this one will be more oriented on programming. This one will be more oriented on computer networks, security management, IT management, things like this. Yeah, and now talking about each of those specializations. So as you see, also, it's not just necessary some modern payment systems. Nowadays, systems, not necessarily just modern, but more like integration between those and how to use it in enterprise. And just to make sure what are the differences. So there is all those 3 last semesters, which you will have, and it specifies what kind of subjects you will be learning. So those bolded are the one which is specific for this specialization. So let's say in this fintech specialization, you will have one subject, electronic operating system. So the beginning will be about e-payment systems, and the rest will be about blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, things like this. Another will be about financial decision foundation. So it's all like smaller one related more to finance area from Faculty of Business Management. And the rest subjects are the same for all students. So one will be freely elective. So it can be anything you want from the list. Internship, and there will be database management and basics of distributed systems. So those 2 will be unique for this specialization only. In the 7th semester, you will have human-computer interaction. It will be oriented more or less on how to design, how to develop user-friendly experience. Like it's like not hard, not like direct programming in functionality, but more like how to implement the interface for the users. Also, another was more related to finances, financial markets and institutions, because it's more or less very useful if you are working with financial area. And the third one will be about cloud computing. So it will be something about cloud services, virtual machines, things like this. And also you will have separate things related to some general knowledge like special purpose language culture, information law, and those two will be dedicated for already writing the bachelor thesis. Like in this one, like we called it like complex project. Now the title is a little bit different. So this one will have some lectures. This one will have just consultations with your supervisor. So one more thing which I should mention, it's not related to the specialization, but the next year will be your 3rd year in the university. So in the end of the 3rd year, you also can start thinking about the bachelor thesis which you will be writing. And also why it's important to select the correct specialization, because the bachelor thesis should be related to the specialization. It will look strange if you will be selecting, I don't know, financial information technology specialization, and you will be doing in the bachelor nothing related to it. Just say some kind of a, I don't know, Internet of Things solutions and something like this. And the last semester, the 8th one, will have financial information systems and the integration. So it will be some general information about what kind of systems you are using and about the method solutions which are mostly used for integrating several systems. So it will be something related to APIs, automation of systems, something like this. And also enterprise information systems, like more or less what kind of systems are used in big enterprises. And also one subject is the same for all students, like fundamentals of data mining. And those two will be related to the bachelor thesis as well. Like you will get, first of all, grade for this one, and bachelor thesis 3 will be just the public defense, like in the jury. So this was like what are the subjects for one specialization. And for another one, which I mentioned, like is information technology management, like more oriented on IT infrastructure, security, and so on. So the different subjects are data communication and networking, because it's quite important if you are managing those networks, the infrastructure, and Internet of Things, like how you can use different sensors, devices, connect them, and so on. And those, as you see, are the same as in the previous example. The 7th semester will include process automatization, which I mentioned, like it's more or less important in IT management. Also, there will be enterprise IT systems and provision and management of internet services. So those two will be more, not necessarily just hardware related, but more or less network and server management related subjects. And the last semester will be data centers, and another will be information security management. So those will be how we are providing services for different departments, sometimes even companies, and this one, how we should be assuring the security in the organization. It's like, now I'm trying to remember, but you will have subject potentially next semester about cryptography and information security. So there will be some basics about security for all students, despite what is the specialization. And this one will be more oriented on how to manage, because there is a different area related to it. Yeah, what you should know, as I see in the list, there is 22 students in your group. I don't know how many of those are attending, and there is a requirement that at least 50 students should be in one group. So there is no chance to divide those 22 students into 2 groups. So it means all of you should be selecting one specialization. So this is why we are doing the voting system in Moodle environment. You should be selecting and you should be able to see what are the results. So based on who wins, we will decide which specialization will be selected for your group. And also I'm mentioning for Lithuanian students, like just imagine if they will be selected information technology management specialization and foreign students will select fintech specialization. So it means some of those students could be joining your group and having another specialization because they potentially will be able to understand in English. With your group, it's more complicated because to study in Lithuanian, if your language is not Lithuanian, it may be difficult. But if I understand correctly, there are some students sometimes also understanding Lithuanian, so there is a chance to switch. And if we would be talking about the history, so you will be the third, yes, like the third students who will be selecting the specialization. So the first year, both groups selected information technology management. The second year, Lithuanian students selected IT management and foreign students selected fintech specialization. So we will see how you will distribute. For now, what I saw in the Moodle environment, so there is one questionnaire for Lithuanian students. So 11 is for IT management and 1 is for fintech. So it seems like potentially it will be IT management. In English speaking group, there is 1-to-1 at the moment. So we will see how it will go. Yeah, and what you should be doing, so you should be going to the Moodle course and voting and here in this activity. So if you won't be able to see this activity, just let me know. I will see what's the problem. And the deadline, it would be nice if you would select it during the next week, because on the 11th of March, there will be a vacation. So it would be nice to do it until, basically you have 1 week to do it. It doesn't mean, yeah, if you will be late, you automatically won't be assigned to any of those specializations, but just on the 11th of March, potentially we will be looking who is winning, and based on the majority, we will say, okay, all students are going to this specialization. Because there is no concrete date, but some days this month, they will say, okay, we already won the final answer. So yeah, so talking about the specialization, it was the main information which I remembered. Talking about the free elective subjects, so as you saw, there will be chance to select one, but it's not provided yet. So it will be some subjects of free CTS, and basically the timetable for those are always the same. On Tuesdays, 2:30, the lecture. So it doesn't matter which subject you will select, it always will be on the same time. Usually it's like this. So one will be for autumn semester and one will be for spring semester. And you can choose not just from faculty of fundamental science, you can use any faculties. So you will be able to view all of those and to select which one is more important to you. Now also talking about the internship. So it will be like the main idea you had in the first semester, there was practice, but there was just some companies are coming or some employees of Vilnius Tech are coming and explaining what is the area is about, how it works, blah, blah, blah. So this time it won't be like this. You won't have lectures, but you should be going to company and basically working here. The difference, talking with how the internship is different with your working position, not all internships will be paid. It's up to the company. Sometimes they are paying, sometimes they are not paying, so because they're investing some time to teach you at the same time and so on. So to do the internship, I advise you to search for some kind of companies. And as you mentioned, like if you're already working in some kind of a position related to IT, so it's good you can skip the internship just to account you did it just because you have the working experience in the company. So to do all this after the officially after this session, after all those exams, you should be writing the internship agreement. So it will be available, potentially it's already available in the manual.vilniustech.lt. Like you will be filling the data what company, when is the starting date, things like this. And the department automatically will be signing it. You will get a copy. The company should sign it, and so on and so on. So there is some kind of a list of activities which should be done. And after you will be doing the internships, you should be getting some assessment from the company, like some kind of a paper stating this student did internship in our company and I evaluate his work and writing some kind of a mark. And additionally, you will need to write a report. So there will be a template what is more or less desired in it. It won't be very complicated, just more or less summary, what you did, what you learned. And also there is one tricky situation, because if you would be going to this link, you would find all the information about the internship, but at the moment it's only in Lithuanian. So one option is to translate it. So I will try to talk with the department, maybe they will translate and will upload the English version, because now if you would go to English version, I lost the department. In the studies, there is no such element. Also talking about the internship, where to find one. You can use the same portals which you would be using for job searching. As well, you can search for internship in mano.vilnius.tech.lt or even vilniustech.lt website, but also it's the same problem. Most of it's in Lithuanian, just the descriptions. It doesn't mean it will be, they won't accept English speaking students or something like this. So it's an issue, but yeah. And also there is one more option. If you won't be able to find the internship position, you can do the internship in Vilnius Tech as well, because there are different departments. One is responsible for IT infrastructure, like managing all the computer networks, computer classes, and so on. Another is responsible for programming, some database management positions. And also, at least last year, we accepted students for research internship. It was like we gave the students some tasks related to doing some experiments. It can be also, some of those were programming, some of those doing just research. So if needed, the university can provide you internship place as well. Yeah, so more or less it was all what I presented in the slides, but as I mentioned, maybe I skipped something, so be free to ask. And also I didn't mention that there is like internship 1.2, which means you will have one internship this semester and you will have another after year in the end of the third year. So the same rules apply for both of them. It can be the same company. And also what we see, mostly when our students go to a company and do the internship, in the second year, about half of the students are staying to work here. Usually the company says, okay, you already learned something, so if you want, you can stay. Not all, but most of it. During the third year, even the bigger proportion of students stay or even do the mapping, like, oh, I already have an experience, so I won't be doing the internship. Yeah, so maybe I will stop the recording.